Okay, so I recently checked out Plane, starring Gerard Butler. Wasn't exactly what I expected, but I think it ended up being surprisingly good. Nowadays, when I go into a Gerard Butler movie, unless it's one of the Olympus Has Fallen movies, I tend to think it's probably not going to be that good. But this was. It's about a commercial flight carrying 14 passengers to Hawaii that goes through a storm and gets struck by lightning and has to land in a very dangerous part of the world. Although, is it possible to get on a flight that has only 14 passengers? I would love that. Oh, that would make it so much more comfortable, wouldn't it? But honestly, I've never had anything close to that experience on a plane. And it's kind of funny that this movie takes place on New Year's Eve, and they act like the flight has very few passengers because it's a holiday, as though people don't travel on holidays. I mean, that's when the most travel happens, isn't it? Then again, it's New Year's, which, let's face it, is barely a holiday. It's not like Thanksgiving or Christmas where people are rushing to get home to their families. I mean, most people on New Year's are just looking to get to a place where they can get drunk comfortably. That's pretty much the whole holiday. You know, nobody says, oh, I gotta get home to my family. It's New Year's Eve. Although, that is kind of Gerard Butler's motivation in the movie. He's the pilot of the plane, and he's hoping to get home to his family for the holiday. And of course, they have to make an emergency landing, and it actually seems like they're going to have to land on water at first, but they end up seeing land at the last second, and they make a safe landing somehow. And they're in hostile territory. The locals think this is like a gift from the heavens, a bunch of dumbass Americans that they can hold for ransom money. And that's exactly what they do. And it's up to Gerard Butler and one of the passengers who was a prisoner on the flight, and he also turns out to be a former member of like the French Foreign Legion or some shit. I mean, it's like the exact type of dude you would need in this situation. It's like having a mini Rambo on your side. And of course, he and Gerard Butler's character have to do whatever they can to save the passengers and signal for help. It's exciting, it never really gets boring, and for once, it's not an overstuffed movie that goes on for way longer than it should. I definitely recommend checking it out. I would give it a respectable 3 space rocks out of 5. Check it out if you haven't already. But for now, I definitely want to address the most hilarious thing about this movie. And that, of course, is the title. Plane. I mean, how long did they spend thinking of a title for this movie? Did they have a 12-second time limit? Was there a shot clock for coming up with the title for this movie? I mean, I just talked about Speed on my channel. Imagine if that movie was called Bus. Imagine if Die Hard was called Building. Imagine if Lethal Weapon was called Cop Friends. Imagine if My Cousin Vinny was called Alabama Courtroom. I mean, I could do this all day. Imagine if Top Gun was called, well, Plane. Needless to say, you get what I'm saying here. It's not a very good title. And even the name evokes blandness. I mean, obviously plane, Plane, is different than the word plane, Plain. But they sound the same because the English language is a little fucked up. So when you hear the word plane in reference to a movie, it's not exactly firing anyone up. And no spoilers, but the movie's ending is a little beyond ridiculous. It really goes well past the point of any kind of believability, and it also makes it seem like the entire movie was about the plane. And it really was not. It's almost like they came up with that ending so the title would make a little bit more sense. But it still doesn't. And other than that, I would say it's a pretty solid movie. I do recommend it. Thankfully, the title is the most boring thing about it. But if you've seen it, let me know what you think of it. And until next time, take it easy.